Daybreak, coverage you can count on.
This morning on Daybreak, the search continues for a toddler missing after a tornado touches down in Albany.
The president is calling for an investigation into voter fraud. Officials in Florida say there isn't any. I'm Mike Vasalinda in the state capitol, where one Democrat has written a letter and said, go ahead, investigate the election that you won. I've got the story coming up.
And could a new makeover be coming to the area adjacent Cascades Park in Tallahassee? We will take a look at the design that's in the works.
And taking a look outside now, you couldn't tell by just looking at our live look outside, but it is chilly out there this morning.
It's a little different than it's been, that's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, very different.
Now, Rob was warning winter's going to make a comeback this weekend, so I guess it's here, huh?
It's going to get colder. This morning it's not as cold as it would have been because we still have some clouds around lingering, but over the next couple of mornings, colder. Tomorrow morning, probably the most cold, and then maybe colder by Monday and Tuesday. Not much cooking on the radar picture right now. I don't see anything anywhere nearby, but I do see some of those lingering clouds, and they're important. When you keep some clouds around in the overnight, it prevents the temperatures from falling as far as they otherwise would. Now, as we scour out these clouds periodically throughout the day, we're going to see a little bit of sunshine, maybe more than a little bit, but I still think we're going to have temperatures struggling to warm up today as cooler air settles across our little part of the country. Hanging on to 50 at St. Mark's, it's 46 at Monticello, it's only 41 degrees at Blakely and 42 at Camilla. So yeah, we've got some cooler out there, and we still have a little bit of a northwest breeze doing its thing. I don't see a lot of fog. I don't expect we're going to find a lot of fog, but on the futurecast, what we're looking at here is some lingering clouds, and watch what happens maybe by Sunday morning down to our south. I think we're going to see a little disturbance pass by, probably too far south to give us any showers, but it might be able to bring us a few clouds and bump our temperatures up a little bit for Sunday morning. For the time being, this morning it's cooler, but it's not crazy cold. We're talking 40s, not 30s, so we've got that going for us. But highs today stay cooler, and there'll be some lingering clouds at times, guys, likely not getting out of the 50s today or tomorrow. We'll break down that weekend forecast in just a bit.
All right, well, happening today, a teen killed in a South Georgia tornado is being laid to rest.
Well, friends and family are gathering for funeral services for 19-year-old Alexis Livingston in Adel. She was one of 7 people killed at the Sunshine Acres Mobile Home Park. Livingston was a Cook High School graduate. Services getting underway at Cook's High School football stadium at 3 p.m.
Meanwhile, a relentless search continues for a toddler days after a tornado ripped through Albany.
Our Simone Davis joins us live in the newsroom now with the latest on this search. Simone?
Well, Charlene, Art officials telling us in the past 24 hours, more than 200 people joining the search for 2-year-old Detrez Green. The search crew's dismantling and looking through the trailer where the little boy and his family lived. Crews also drained a pond nearby at the toddler's home. Dive teams, helicopters also joining in the search. So far, still no signs of the little boy. An EMA director says this has been a labor-intensive search for Detrez Green.
Rescue divers have been there since last night. We also had our teams go downstream a mile and a half, searching the entire stream for their missing person.
Crews also went down a creek about a mile and a half looking for the child. There has been no luck so far, but they will continue to keep looking. And this tornado was put into 3 different sectors, and officials say with those search and rescue teams that everyone has been accounted for except Green. And we'll be sure to bring you any updates on this search as it develops. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Simone, for that update. Well, also in Albany, the Red Cross offering help to tornado victims. They're teaming up with other organizations like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross to provide food and clothing. More than 100 people are staying in the shelter at the Civic Center right now. If you and your family need help, you can find all that information on our website, WCTV.tv.
And storm recovery funds are among $600 million in addition to Georgia's proposed budget. The House plan calls for $5 million for tornado recovery work. Also part of the budget additions, $109 million for public schools and $27 million in raises for state law enforcement.
President-elect Donald Trump's officially calling for an investigation into voter fraud after making claims that more than 3 million people voted illegally in November. This is prompting Democratic state senators in Florida to call on the Secretary of State to get to the bottom of the claims. But officials say it isn't happening here. Mike Vasalinda has more.
Florida Democrats were quick to pounce on the president's tweet, pointing out that the investigation should start with Trump's own chief strategist, who was registered in both New York and Sarasota. After the posting, Steve Bannon's name was quickly removed from voter rolls in Sarasota. Senate Democratic leader Oscar Brannan followed with this letter calling on the Secretary of State to investigate.
What I realized was if there were voting irregularities, then that would mean he didn't win. And so if that's the case, then maybe they need to investigate.
I mean, it is saying, go ahead and investigate the election you won.
Yes.
Reports of election fraud are few and far between, and every complaint is investigated by the Department of Law Enforcement. Just over 20 million votes were cast in Florida over the last 2 election cycles. 13 complaints were received by the Department of Law Enforcement. Election supervisors downplayed the potential for fraud before the election.
It would be virtually impossible.
And they stand by their statements. Senate Ethics and Elections Chair Kathleen Passidomo says there are no plans for an investigation.
We haven't seen anything. We have not been asked to investigate. I think, he's talking about other states, perhaps. I haven't heard him speak about any voter fraud that he's identified in Florida.
In a statement, the Secretary of State's spokesperson said the office is not aware of widespread voter fraud and that safeguards are in place to prevent it. Mike Vasalinda, WCTV Eyewitness News, Tallahassee.
Well, Governor Rick Scott, who is ultimately responsible for how elections are run in Florida, is saying only that he is glad we had record turnout and a smooth election in November.
An expansion for solar power in Tallahassee. The city will now get power from a second solar farm being built next to the original near the airport. Both facilities are owned and operated by Origis Energy. The city will then purchase solar energy, giving residents throughout the city the option to use it for their electricity. City leaders say it gives residents more options.
But we believe in sustainability in the city of Tallahassee. This will give our customers the option to use solar without paying for expensive solar panels on their own homes. They can ask specifically for renewable energy, get it at a cost-effective basis, and it will be a great thing for the environment.
The commission also elected to participate in the Sunshot Initiative, which is a national effort to drive down the cost of solar.
Well, Florida lawmakers are pushing for more tax breaks when it comes to buying school supplies. Legislation filed could lead to a 10-day school sales tax holiday. Last year's tax-free days were limited to just one weekend, but the bill's sponsor says budget cuts elsewhere should leave plenty of cash for a longer holiday. Governor Scott is also hoping to add tax holidays for buying hurricane supplies and for veterans. Well, the area next to Tallahassee's Cascades Park may soon have a new look.
Yeah, check out this rendering from the developer North American Properties. They're looking to build living spaces, a hotel, restaurant, and much more. The proposal includes selling the city's Bloxham Annex and Firestone buildings. The developers say they're hoping to liven up downtown.
That'll happen by putting residents down there. It'll happen by putting businesses down there, public spaces, retail, and restaurants. So we're looking to create a destination downtown, not just an apartment complex on the park.
Officials say plans for development won't be finalized for about a year. So that'd be pretty cool to see all that stuff in Cascades Park. Cascades is already beautiful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd tell you what, it'd be a really attractive place to build some residences nearby. Hey, who wouldn't want to just walk out your back door and have Cascades Park right there? So, not bad.
I would love to do that, that's for sure.
Well, how cold is it this morning? Are we in the 30s anywhere?
No, not yet.
Not quite?
We're probably going to get there at some point this morning. It feels cold because the last couple mornings were so warm.